부채의 선군 혁명력을 진도에서 이끄시기에 우리의 혁명 무력은 영원히.
That's not how SLBMs are supposed to ignite.
It's the most serious problem a nation can face, an adversary developing intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of destroying your cities. But unlike in past crises,
the regime of Saddam Hussein is being removed from power.
With North Korea, the government isn't alone in producing intelligence and analyzing its meaning. North Korea, long considered a threat to American national security, but to many people dismissed as a small country with a puzzling and brutal dictator and an economy smaller than that of Tulsa, Oklahoma. For years, Jeffrey Lewis and his colleagues at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies tried to sound the alarm that the North's nuclear missile program was far more sophisticated than most people realized.
Everybody thinks they're a joke, like they're some kind of incompetent buffoons.
They don't even have vegetables in North Korea.
And we were living in this parallel universe where we kept going but they're not buffoons.
Then this summer, the North awoke many to a new reality when it launched an intercontinental ballistic missile.
The fact is, this was a game changer. They can reach our mainland now with their ICBM.
I'm actually surprised by what North Korea is doing.
We weren't surprised that they were ready to test an ICBM because I looked at the pictures.
Lewis had already concluded that North Korea had all the pieces in hand to build a long-range missile, an ICBM, because he saw it in the photos and videos of another missile that the North Koreans unveiled this year, the Hwasong-12.
We looked at the 12, we were like, holy crap, that is a pathway to an ICBM.
The missile the North fired in August and September over Japan is a case study in how open source experts in places like Monterey, California, are doing the type of work that in the past rarely happened outside of places like Langley, Virginia. Using photos released by the North Koreans themselves, Lewis's team calculated the Hwasong-12's size.
So this truck is imported from Belarus, and so the specifications on this truck are relatively well known. If you know how long the transporter is and you know the diameter of the missile, you can make a good guess about how long the missile is.
They determined what type of fuel it uses.
So if you can see the weld lines between the bottom and the top tank, I can tell you the volumetric ratio of those two tanks. I can tell you what kind of fuel it is.
They estimated its engine power.
But you can use a program to track frame by frame how quickly that missile accelerates. And at least for this missile, the answer was yeah. I mean, no question about it. We estimated the thrust of that engine at 48 tons, and that was the classified estimate that just leaked. We got the same answer the intelligence community did.
But to figure out how far the 12 could potentially travel, they needed to know its weight.
You see this crane? It's a truck with a crane on it. It's a Japanese crane that they imported.
Based on the crane manufacturer's specifications, the missile's center of mass, the angle of the arm, and
the distance between basically this point and this point. The physical airframe is quite light, even though the missile is quite big.
Which is a big deal because this suggests, Lewis says, that the North is constructing its missile components using highly advanced computerized machine tools. A light airframe certainly helps if you want your missile to carry the weight of a nuclear weapon to, say, the mainland U.S.
At the end of the day, would you say with a high degree of confidence that they have a compact nuclear weapon that can go on an ICBM?
Cannot understand why this is even a question.
We're talking about a missile that can carry a warhead, successfully re-enter, and hit the continental United States.
Yes, New York, LA. Yeah.
Lewis's team also tries to identify when the North's claims are pure puffery. For example, in May of 2015, it announced the successful launch of a ballistic missile from a submarine.
That's not how SLBMs are supposed to ignite. It's way too much fire.
But Lewis and the team analyzed the footage and figured out that the final 2 frames of the video show that the missile actually exploded shortly after launch. To mask the failure, the editor apparently cut in video of a Scud missile breaking through the clouds. They also use geolocation and satellite imagery to track day-to-day changes at the missile storage and test locations they've identified. Other patterns they observe concern Mr. Kim himself.
Dave looks at this picture and he says, "Oh, I know where he's standing." It's like, Dave, he's in a fucking tent. He goes, "Oh, look up here. Do you see this?"
What's that? I don't see anything there.
Do you see yellow and black and yellow?
Yeah.
All right, well, so Dave goes, "Oh, I know exactly what that is. Marker from a North Korean highway tunnel." And then within a matter of 10 minutes, he's able to, using the trees and the landscape, figure out, exactly where he's standing.
Why would it be important to know where he is for that?
Part of it, it's just fun. But part of it's that they take his personal security very seriously. And they clearly here aren't.
By identifying unintended clues, are you worried that you're going to get somebody killed?
Yeah. I mean, that sucks. But, he's the one who's going to have him killed, right? And if he runs a horrible propaganda system where they punish people for making mistakes with death, that's... I can't just know that. Yeah.
Coming here to Northern California was Aaron Zittner's idea. He'd become a regular listener of Mr. Lewis's Arms Control Wonk podcast.
So, pictures, and it went kaboom.
It's interesting that we have people who are outside of the intelligence community per se, who are taking on the task of informing the public, informing other scholars, and there's almost a community of them that are exchanging information, that are checking one another, and getting us to the ultimate question of what are the options for the United States and its allies.
That's right, and they themselves draw a contrast with the start of the Iraq War, where there wasn't this kind of open source work that could perhaps provide a check on what we were hearing from the government.
I mean, I think back to the lead up to the Iraq War, where we had a really big public debate, but that was a public debate about classified information that we couldn't really see.
There is no question, there is no doubt, Saddam Hussein now has weapons of mass destruction.
In the lead up to the Iraq War, the public debate relied almost entirely on facts put forth by the Bush administration. Now, the open source analysts may help us better understand security threats and present contrasting information when their conclusions don't match those of the government.
So, my hope is that if we have better factual information in the public debate, that public debate will be better, right? And will make better decisions.
The North Korean regime has not yet passed the point of no return.
Lewis thinks that the U.S. government is wrong, that the North has passed the point of no return, that it already has nuclear weapons.
We want them to give up their weapons, right? And I think that that's probably going to be a pretty short conversation.
The conversation he and many of his open source peers now see as unavoidable involve nuclear arms limitations, not the elimination of Mr. Kim's program.
We will have no choice but to totally destroy North Korea.
The Trump administration maintains that
all options are on the table. That hasn't changed.
But has the situation changed? At this point, should preemptive military action be on the table?
I think the doors for a military option are basically closed.
Beyond the risk of the North pummeling Seoul, South Korea with non-nuclear artillery, Lewis's position is based on 2 assumptions. One, that some of the North's missiles are already armed with nuclear weapons.
This is not a new missile. This is an exercise. They're practicing using nuclear weapons against South Korea and Japan. You can see these kinds of exercises have jumped up. 2,
not all of those missiles could be destroyed before Mr. Kim could launch them.
Okay, this is a little weird.
It appears to show one of Mr. Kim's missiles being fueled horizontally, which would mean that it could be prepared for launch while hidden in a tunnel.
If you're the guys driving the truck, you like that because you don't want to be sitting there trying to gas up the missile while the U.S. Air Force is trying to kill you?
Horizontal fueling is no small feat. The missile could easily tip over while it's being erected. But Lewis says that with the light airframe he thinks they've engineered,
it suggests that it's not laugh out loud funny. Like, it might actually be true.
We really have to move with a great deal of urgency on preparing, if necessary, a military option.
So Lewis believes that even a successful decapitation strike taking out Mr. Kim wouldn't defuse the nuclear missile threat. Kim's commanders could still roll out missiles and take revenge.
What these and other open source researchers see moving upstream is gradual, begrudging acceptance that it's too late to stop North Korea from becoming a member of the nuclear club. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you'll join us for more episodes of Moving Upstream and leave some comments for us.